Hey guys, Rochelle here with Amethyst Ascension. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I'm going to be doing a community challenge tag, tarot tag, that was created by the channel 78 Puertas, and I believe his name is Cesar. I just found him through this tag, so I had been seeing a lot of people doing this tag, and I'm a little bit late to the table, but it's just because I couldn't get down here. But now that I'm down in my witchy room, I wanted to attempt it, and it is difficult because probably like most of you that are doing this tag, I could choose several for each one of these, but to narrow it down to one or possibly two, you know, it's difficult, but we're going to try it. So there are, how many prompts are there? 21 prompts or 21 questions. So let's just dig right in. The first one is, what was your very first tarot deck ever? My very first tarot deck ever is the Gilded Tarot by Marchetti, and I edged mine in a black. This came with, what was it called? Easy Tarot, the book by Ellershaw, and this particular deck. And I had this one only for, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe a little less than a year. And I did a course with this, read through the entire book, did everything that it suggested with this in order to learn it. You know, wrapped it in silk, slept with it under my pillow for several nights, and I did tons and tons and tons of readings with this deck. And as much as I do love, and I was happy to have this as my first deck, it's not really, I haven't really used it since then. I don't know if I got burnt out or this is not my, although I loved it at the time, my tastes have really changed. So, even though I don't like the Jester, I love this Fool. I love how it has all of the Zodiac in there. And I do like a lot of Ciro Marchetti's artwork and decks. But anyways, this was the very first one, the Gilded Tarot, but it wasn't the actual full Gilded Tarot. It was the deck, the Gilded Tarot, that came with Easy Tarot book by Ellershaw. It was part of like a Tarot Party Night subscription box, and this is what came in it. So that was my first deck. Which is your most recent tarot deck? Okay, I have actually purchased other ones since then, but this is the most recent that came in. Tarot. I've had other oracles come in, but I seen this, I believe, on Carrie's Mystical Musings on her channel, and it's called Tarot Landscapes, and I just thought it was really, really pretty. I love the idea of it being landscapey. I don't like that there's a lot of animals in it per se, but I don't know. Is this like King Kong or what? It looks like King Kong, because that is a huge animal, which is cool. And here's a unicorn. Looks like a hobbit home. I just think this is really pretty. However, I don't like how some of them, the images seem like really fuzzy to me. It's probably just the art style itself. It's not supposed to be like super highly detailed like that. That looks so fuzzy to me. So it's going to take a while for me to get used to it, but I do think it's a really cool deck. So that was the last deck, tarot deck that I have received, and that's called Tarot Landscapes. So for the next question, which tarot deck has the best colors? And I will be putting all these questions down below as well in the description. There are several decks that fell into this, but the one that really came to mind, well, one of them that really came to mind is the Tarot of Oneness. The colors in this deck are so beautiful. The color combinations. I think it's just, there's dark cards, there's vibrant cards, like the lovers. When I think of lovers, I think of these colors, like purples and pinks and reds, right? Yeah, and like neon. Isn't that beautiful, the color combinations? Look at the moon card. Stunning. So yeah. Oh, I love that Temperance card so much. Don't mind my nails. They're in between. I'm getting ready to put a new set on. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. Oh, look at the richness of that green grass. The yellows and, oh, wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so vibrant. I'm definitely a color person. I love that Two of Cups. See, same thing. Two of Cups, I think of like the lovers, like that ultimate partnership, you know, and where one cup fills the other. And look at the colors that are used. And I also love when orange is also mixed with like hot pink. Those two together, it looks so good. I love this deck. Oh, that's beautiful. I got it upside down, but still beautiful. Yeah, so that would be the Tarot of Oneness by Robin, what is it? Voicey. Look at that oneness. Oh. All right, so the next question is, what tarot deck has the best faces? And I thought of this one. I think the faces of these witches are just so, I wouldn't say pretty, although I do think they're beautiful. They're so expressive and ancient and wise and knowing and cunning. I mean, I want to be in this coven. You know what I mean? With these witches that are just so earthy and deep and this is based off of Scottish lore, right? And I am Scottish as well. Celtic legends and kindred spirits, yeah. I just love that. Look at those faces. Look at that. Beautiful. We don't get enough tarot decks with faces like this. Elderly women faces. I mean, sometimes they'll look beautiful. They might have gray hair. But I mean, look at all the wrinkles and the stories that are in her face and in her hands and, oh, the shadows. Oh. And then you have like the dewy youth. Yeah. Yeah. It's like these ladies can tell us so many stories. I mean, it's like you see that. instantly on their faces. This was the first deck I really thought of with faces. There's lots of other decks that I think have great faces, but this one, it just gives me chills. It's just, they're so stunning and expressive, and yeah. Yeah. So that was the Witch Sister Tarot by Julia Jeffrey. Okay, so the next one is, which is your largest tarot deck? And I think it's this one. I think. The Alchemical Visions Tarot. Oh, this is so big. So there's the backs. This thing is massive. Look at that. It is massive. And I love this artwork so much. Oh my gosh. It is glossy, but I don't care. I just think that this deck is so friggin' cool. I love this card. But yes, it is. I love that card so much. This is such a surprisingly gorgeous deck. I'm surprised that I love this so much. Seriously. But it's like beautiful and occulty and witchy and esoteric and symbolism and astrology and just everything all rolled into one. Just beautiful. So that is my largest tarot deck. Now my smallest tarot deck is question 6. And that, I believe, I also have the Light Seers in a tin upstairs. But I do think this one is a little bit smaller. This is the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. It is so cute. Oh my goodness. Look at. I mean, if I were to show you, shoot, I shouldn't have put it away. The difference in size, like Cesar said, size does matter, right? Look at the difference. Holy cow. The backs are even so friggin' cool on both of these decks. Oops. Okay. So yeah. This I love the colors that are in this version. Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. I like this for big, big spreads. And I really do like the coloring and everything. And I like the backs. It's just perfect. It's a cute little shuffle. So, yeah. That is my tiniest or my smallest tarot deck. So the next question is, what tarot deck has the best court cards? And I chose for that one the Slavic Legends Tarot. And my box has been dropped a few times, so I've got to repair it. I think I can repair it. But I pulled out the quartz. King of Cups, King of Swords, Knight of Swords. And I chose this not because necessarily it really shows the actual like elements or anything, but it's just, I mean, it does, but it's just so lushly beautiful. The artwork is just so beautiful to me. I mean, look at her. Beautiful, beautiful. So that is the Slavic Legends Tarot. Is this Taroteca? Yeah, Taroteca Studio. The backs are friggin' gorgeous on this too. All right. Although I know that that's another prompt, so I chose something different. Okay, so the next question is, which is your most worn out tarot deck? And honestly, the only one I could think of is the Everyday Witch. I used this one for a long time, just like all the time. I fell so hard for this deck. But, you know, the beautiful thing about this Llewellyn cardstock is even though, I mean, this has been shuffled so many times and used so many times, it's just, it doesn't matter. It is just, these cards just stand up to the test of time. So even though I have probably used this early on, the most, early on, it's probably the most worn out because I just counted my decks yesterday, roughly, and with ones that I have coming from Kickstarter yet and stuff that I've pre-ordered and ordered, yada, 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 that hasn't gotten to me yet, I'm inching up very close to 500 decks. So to say that I even really have any decks that are completely wore out, I really don't, because I use so many different decks. All the time I'm changing them up. And I love having that variety. So, but this is one that I would think of that is worn out from how much I've used it. But really, Llewellyn, it just holds up. It's just really great cardstock, and I love to shuffle it. So, next question. Question 9. Which is your most esoteric tarot deck? I move some out of the way. And I would say that that is the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Does she have it? I meant to grab the Revelations edition. Okay. Let me pause this a second. Okay. I meant to grab the Revelation edition because I love all of the information that each one of these cards has. Now, with the Book of Maps, you see that Benabelwen, jeez, oh Pete, I'm having a brain grant moment. But Benabelwen, when she created this, she like researched like the backgrounds and I mean just everything. So in the book, she's got like whole pictures. I even said, I made a statement several times that she could have made a tarot deck just in the backgrounds alone. And it could have been like a, you know, a location tarot or something, because of the amount of information that is truly in each one of these cards. She's got the I Ching. She's got the something else here. I can't remember what this is. I can't remember what it is, but she's got the I Ching. She's got like the deacon information and the astrological information. In the book, she talks about like the different versions, you know, and her like melding of like Tarot de Marseille, Thoth, and RWS. And then this deck is like an amalgamation of that, you know, plus her own spin on everything. And then all of the, it's just rich in symbolism and different divination systems all rolled into one deck. So to me, it is the most esoteric deck in my collection. There are a few other ones that I would say fall into that very, very closely as well, but I think this one takes the cake. Not to mention, my gosh, all the different cultures and stories and history that is in this deck. It's just chef's kiss. This is a wisdom seeker, truth seeker, like, wet dream. That's all I can say. So, I love this deck so much. And to me, it is the most esoteric. So the next question is, what deck is good for, what tarot deck is the best one for shadow work? So I was going to say something like this, like Tarot Volatile, which I love the backs too. I love this cardstock as well. I think it is a beautiful deck. Those are all the extra ones. That's okay. And because it's got a huge book, which I'm not going to dig out, I think you could do some really good uncovering and shadow work. However, scratch that. I do think it could be good. Don't get me wrong. But my opinion is the best deck to honestly do shadow work, in my opinion, is a deck that you resonate with and it's easy for you to read with. Now, that would be like the Light Seers. That would be like Tarot of the She for me. That would be like the Druid Craft. That would be like anything that I love. But this is a newer deck, Wild Reflections. And because I just resonate so strongly with this artwork, I think this is the perfect deck for uncovering stuff because you have such an innate familiarity with something like this that it's not like it's missing, you're not missing the point altogether, because I mean, you literally, in most cases, you're unraveling information. If it's already steeped and dark, you might not be unraveling anything because you're too busy trying to just understand what the cards and the symbolism and all that means. So I say keep it simple when it comes to shadow work. Have good spreads and have a deck that you love using, because for some people, shadow work can be extremely painful, extremely difficult. So it might as well be with a deck that you want to keep using, you know, that you really like a lot, that you find joy and peace and understanding within the images and within the write-ups in the book and stuff. So to me, this is a perfect deck for doing good shadow work. So the next question is, what tarot deck has the best backs design? Okay, so I have two for that one. So this one I just showed the other day. This is, and it's the Dream of Nile Tarot. This is a deck of pure decadence, okay? I love that this back is so blingy and so beautiful, but it also incorporates, look at that, the edging. That is just like, ooh, oh my goodness, that is just stunning to me. So I had to put this one for best backs. And the deck itself is friggin' amazing. It's beautiful. I do have walkthroughs of the majority of these particular decks. So if you are looking for walkthroughs of anything that you see, just go back and look in my tarot reveals, tarot and oracle reveals. There's like tons on my channel, over 100 videos, well over 100 videos. But the other one and I've talked about this before. I had backed this. It's the Untamed Mystery Tarot. I backed this quite a while ago on Kickstarter. And I'm just seriously not an animal tarot person. It's my own limitation. But this deck is so stunning. It was the artwork that drew me in. Then I got it and I was like, what the hell were you thinking, Rochelle? I do find it absolutely beautiful, but what I really find beautiful, oh my goodness. Look at these backs. Oh, gorgeous. So, that was the Untamed Mystery Tarot. And they had many different versions with different coloring around the edges. And mine was like the earth version. I really liked the brown. And I liked the like copper edging, or whatever they call it, gilding, the most. So, all right. Okay, so the next question was, what tarot deck has the best cardstock? And although there are several decks that I just adore the cardstock, this one is a newer deck that I love, and I am working with it right now with some shadow work spreads. I think this is also a great deck for that. Just because of it being Persephone also, and because it is something that I love. I love the artwork. So I could see definitely using this for shadow work as well. But, oh my goodness. The cardstock is a beautiful, like premium linen. Just absolutely wonderful. It gives good enough resistance, but it just, and it doesn't, I never have problems with linen cardstock warping, and a lot of my other decks, I always have problems. So it's the coating, the linen coating that is on tarot decks that just makes them just sublime. And such a beautiful shuffle. That is such a beautiful shuffle. The cardstock is so beautiful. When a cardstock is so beautiful like this, it just also makes it really easy to work with, and you want to work with it. And I feel like you can bond with a deck like that so much quicker. I can personally, because I will sit there and I will watch something. I'll watch your videos while I'm just shuffling over and over and over again. And I feel like when I'm doing that, especially if I'm watching your videos and I'm feeling a certain kind of way, like laughing or really enjoying the content, my energy transfers onto whatever I have in my hands, which is the deck I'm working with. So, this is just beautiful cardstock. And it is the Tarot of Persephone's, Tarot of Persephone's Garden by Kara Small. Love it, love it, love it. Beautiful, beautiful cardstock. All right. So the next question is, what tarot deck has the best Soft Silky Touch? And I could think of a few other decks as well, but one that really came to mind, this was one I was going to say also for cardstock, and it's the Keymaster Tarot. Not only do I think that this deck is beautiful, I love everything about it. I love the backs. The backs are super cool. I love the artwork. I love the edging. I love that it's like playing cards. Looks like playing cards, right? It's beautiful, beautiful. I think I need to take this upstairs. Yeah. But it feels so, just so smooth and luxurious. And this one also has just a beautiful, beautiful shuffle. This one's a little bit stiffer. This is not linen. This is something different. Even it's got that shimmery edge. It's just beautiful. So, this was 13. What tarot deck has the best soft silky touch? And that is the Keymaster Tarot. This is AGM Urania. Beautiful deck. So the next question is, what tarot deck has the best sound when you shuffle it? And I almost use this one for the best color because I love the colors in this one also. And I love the backs. I love the gilding. I mean, there's so much about this deck that I love, which you guys know, right? But this is right up there with really good cardstock also, really like smooth, silky smooth. And it's not about the riffle shuffle and the bridging. It's about the overhand. It just sounds like ASMR, right? It sounds so good. I love that. This is the kind, I believe, that just fans beautifully or looks beautiful fanned. Yes. But it's just a whole experience shuffling this. Oh, yes. So that is the new Cosmic Wisdom Tarot by Ethany. New meaning it just came out. It was just released. Beautiful. Not that it's a different edition. All right. So the next question is, which of your tarot decks is the most misunderstood? I think it's the Thoth. Simply because I think there's a lot of people that just simply don't even want to approach it because of who the creator is. And I think also there's, a misconception that it is so much different than other tarot decks. I really don't think it is. I think it, I mean, the artwork is not as easy to understand as, your RWS artwork, which is very explanatory. So I would say it's easier to know the RWS first, but I can only speak from my own experience to know that first and then to know this deck once you know the meanings for the most of it. Because a lot of the meanings don't really change, not that I see in this particular deck. I think it's just some people get either really intimidated because it's a different system, or because of the artwork, or because of who the creator is. So, but yeah. So that is the Thoth Tarot. All right, so the next question, question 16, which is your most ancient tarot deck or the most historical? And for that, I chose the Golden Tarot. It's the Visconti Sforza deck. And this is based off of, like, gosh, the 1400s, I'll tell you. Hang on. But it is when the Visconti and Sforza families were being merged together, more or less, with a wedding. And, okay, so it was on that page. Okay. Rich and powerful noblemen living in Milan in the mid-1400s commemorate a birth, a wedding, or an anniversary. Right. So this was where, who was it? Named her beyond. Okay, so a Visconti daughter and a Sforza son. Visconti was really well-known name, like higher name in Italy. And Sforza, they were known for their military might. So the merging of these two families was extremely powerful. So what they did, what the elite would do, is they would commission like different like paintings or whatever. So this was a commissioned deck for their wedding, as a gift for their wedding. So this was like mid 1400s, based on mid 1400s. I want to get to some of the other, this is a really cool deck. It is really big. Very cool. I love it. I love the historical value of this. Now, this is mass market. The deck isn't historical, but it's just based on an historical, like reproduction or whatever of that particular deck. I also have another one. This deck was actually gifted to me. But I have another one also that was gifted to me, and it's, what was his name? I don't remember where it's at. Metelli. But that's not a full, what we would look at as a tarot deck now. It's not all there. That was more like tarot-y. Okay, so the next question. Which tarot deck was the most surprising for good or for bad? And for me, that was this one. The Ritual Tarot by Tierra May. Now, at first, I was not attracted to this deck. They're not all in here because of my year ahead. I use this deck for my year ahead, so I've got 12 cards that are not in here. But this was not something I was initially attracted to. And because of what happened in the community, I actually, and all the people that were saying how much they love this deck, I decided to give it a try. And actually, I ended up loving this deck so much that I used it for my year ahead. I thought that this was a perfect year ahead deck for like deciphering, but also it feels like Egyptian mythology and Greek mythology, and yeah, it surprised me. I surprised myself by changing my mind. Because usually when I say, well, I'm not going to do that, I don't. Right? So when I say I changed my mind for something, that is like a huge event. I want to be changeable, but I have to really be convinced to change my mind. And in this situation, I am so grateful that I actually changed my mind and decided to get... And I didn't need the second edition because I didn't need the information on these. I like having to decipher it, but I also put them like in the corner, right? So yeah. So this was the Ritual Tarot, which was a surprise. So the next one, let's see, is what tarot deck has the best purchase story? Okay, so that would be my indie version of the Light Seers. So I didn't know about this deck until I started seeing it all over TarotTube, right? And this was before, quite a while before it ever came out mass market. And I didn't know whether or not it was ever coming out mass market. And this was one of those decks that was instant. I mean, I instantly knew that this was going to be a soul deck before I ever got it in my hands. It was like a love at first sight, like take my breath away kind of thing. And seeing people talking about this and working with it, I was just like, oh my gosh. And I had missed out on the Kickstarter because it was really before I knew anything about Kickstarter. You know, I was still fairly new to the tarot community when this deck came out, or when it was on Kickstarter. So my first Kickstarter wasn't for quite a while after this came out. But she had, Chris Ann had made a special thing where at a certain time she was going to be selling some of the other copies. And like I said, I didn't know it was going to be going mass market. None of that. It was before that. And I really wanted this deck really bad. So I watched it closely. And I didn't get it on the first time. So another second round came out. And a friend had told me, I can't remember now who told me and said, it just went live, go get it now. I don't remember who it was. God, I feel so bad. It was many, many years ago. But anyways, so I got a copy. Anyways, this sounds really funny. You guys know I have Sully, my dog. I've got Oliver too, but at the time I only had Sully. And Sully was a puppy still. And I had been doing a walkthrough and doing some readings with this deck, which I love. I covet this deck. I mean, it is like my most precious deck, okay? I've got 3 copies because I've got the mini and I've got the mass market version as well as this version. So I don't hardly ever use this version. I do sometimes, but I mainly use the mass market. Well, anyways, I had been doing some readings and it fell on the floor, and you know, several of the cards. I thought I had gotten them all, but I didn't. The Justice card was still on the floor and I didn't know it, and Sully chewed it up. I was heartbroken. I was crying. I was distraught. My husband's like, you've got issues if you're going to get that upset about a tarot deck. I'm like, no, you just don't understand. This was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like I said, at the time, I didn't know it was going to be going mass market, you know, and it was one card. And if you know me, you know that it is not a full deck unless it has all of the cards. And, I mean, he chewed up one whole corner. I could have still used it, but I was just heartbroken. So I contacted Chris Ann to see whether or not she could send me another card. And she did eventually. We had just like a little mishap on Instagram because I'm not good with Instagram. And she had lost my contact information. So she was like doing Instagram, trying to find me, the person who had contacted her. But I didn't see it because I'm hardly on Instagram. So it took me like 6 weeks to get a replacement. And it was so funny telling her, listen, my dog ate my card. You know, it's like my dog ate my homework, right? But in this situation, it was real. So it was like, after I got it, I just realized how precious this deck is to me. I mean, I just, this is my soul deck. I have other soul decks too, but this is my heart, man. This is my soul. This deck just speaks to me on so many levels. This is a deck that I would also use most definitely for shadow work, for any kind of reading, because of how this speaks to me. And, you know, I know there was a lot of people that just didn't want to get it because it was so popular and everybody liked it. And I was not one of those people. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I want it. I mean, I don't care how popular something is. It's popular because it's damn good, period. It's a good reader. It's an easy reader. So as somebody that was just starting also as a tarot reader, I was maybe a year and a half, 2 years in, I felt like to find a deck like this, that right here, this was the card that she replaced. I'm so grateful. But it was this deck that really, that and the Everyday Witch, that really solidified me as a reader. That is what I would call a soul deck. Like, this deck was soul contracted in order to come into my life at a certain time in order to be like a turning point for me when it comes to tarot. So it was that profound. So that was my very long, I'm sorry, purchase story of this particular deck, and why I am so grateful. Grateful to Chris Ann for making it, for sending out another copy, but grateful to just have a deck that just speaks to me. And she's got a new book coming out, Tarot for Lightseers, so I will definitely be getting that. I think it's coming out in August, pre-order for August, I can't remember, but it's already showing up on Amazon. So all right, so next question. Which tarot deck do you always use for self-readings? Listen, I use a lot of tarot. The Lightseers, because I didn't want it in every single prompt here, but is another one that I love for self-reading. I mean, so many of them, okay? If you've seen my my tarot journals and stuff like that, and me reflecting, I use a lot of tarot, and the majority I do for myself. So, but here's another one, the Druid Craft. This is my version. I cut it down. The Druid Craft I have used tons in personal readings because it's just so beautiful. And one of the first like goddesses that I was ever attracted to was Danu, and you know, the Tuatha Danann, the she, and greenery. Green is my favorite color, so this deck just really speaks to me, and it's just so beautiful. So beautiful. So that's one that I have used quite a bit, but I use a lot of tarot for, I mean, pretty much all my decks I use for personal readings, but this one is one I have used a lot. Okay, so which is the most difficult tarot deck to be mastered? I thought about this, and I don't really feel like any of them can ever truly be mastered. I have a hard time with that word, you know, expert or mastering something. However, I think when you've got clear-cut description of what, or not description, or even a book that tells you what a deck is, okay, or the pictures are easy to read, that's easier to master than something like this that runs off of like your intuition. So this is like the Lover's card. This is is that right? Yeah, that was the Lovers. This is and you can see Gemini here in it. And this is the Four of Air. Four of Swords. So I can see like the South Node. What else can I see in there? Anyways, you have to really use your intuition. But not just that, you have to remember symbols, And I know them, but we just have like our brain cramp moments, right? So like this one is the Queen of Cups. This one is Ace of Wands. This one is the Nine of Pentacles. This one is the Knight of Pentacles. So, but within all of these are sigils and symbols, and what do those instill for you? So I don't think you can ever really master this, because depending on what level of development you're at what stage, or what mind you're in, granted, I believe that that's with all decks, but something that you have to work a little bit harder for when it's all just pure symbolism, right? And you can get different things that come out of that. So a deck like this, I would think, is harder to master because it's always bringing up something different in you. That's just my thoughts on it. It doesn't have a clear-cut description. None of it. It's just all like pure intuition. And what do those symbols say to you? So, and I kind of feel like that's why this is going to go really well with it, the Primordial Dreams Tarot, because another thing that would be hard for me to master is using the different elements with the different associations now. I think I can do it, but it's going to be more difficult because I've already been trained in another way. And this, the swords are fire. Swords are fire and wands are air. So, see, I can't even get my head around that. So that's going to be harder for me to master. But I love a good challenge. That's what just really excites me, is a good challenge. So I don't want something that's easy. I want something that is going to stimulate my mind. So these kind of decks, I don't ever think you ever truly master them, but that, I think, is the beauty of it. It brings out something different every time. So the last question, what tarot deck is the best overall? Lightseers. It had to be my Lightseers. This is my ultimate deck. I will say this new deck that I just got, the Wild Reflections, really does remind me a lot of the Lightseers. But it's not just the deck. It was the book, because even the book, it was Chris Ann's writing that really started making me see the light side and the shadow side of each card, and that you don't have to read in reverse if you don't want to, because it's easy depending on maybe the cards that are next to it, the questions that are being asked. And I'm primarily a spreads kind of person. I prefer spreads because my imagination can go crazy. I am not good with like structuring my thoughts. They're always just like a 7 of Cups moment is what I'm always having in my head. So having a good spread helps me be able to narrow things down, because I'm even one of those kind of people. I would forget the question. I have to remind myself or write down the question so that I stay on target, because I can start seeing so many different paths in the cards that don't have anything to do with it, because you have to remember it's about the question that you're asking and the intention that you're putting into it. And I can easily get off track with that. So this was the first deck that really showed me that the light side and the shadow side, it's not that it was like a scary thing or anything like that. She just showed so beautifully and then gave examples, and the writing is so good. And you do get some of this in the mass market version, but not all of it that you got in the indie version. But that's why the new book that's going to be coming out is probably going to be revealing some of the stuff that was in the indie version only. So I'm excited. I'm going to definitely be getting that. But The best overall tarot deck for me is the Light Seers. I don't care how popular it is. I don't care how light and fluffy people think it is. I don't care. It is my ultimate deck. And I love it. And it's always going to be like a part of my soul. So thank you. This was such a fun tag to do. Man, I've got so many decks to put away. But thank you for spending this time with me. I will be putting links to the original video and also all of the questions down below. If by any chance you haven't done this one yet and you want to do it, please jump on and do it. It's so much fun. And I love seeing what everybody else, what's in their collections. And this is a good way of showing off some of the cards or some of the decks in your collection. And you know what? If you have 20 decks and of those 20 decks, one of the decks is going to fit into 5 of the categories, that's okay. So, not that you need me to tell you that, but you don't have to have tons of decks in order to be able to do this. So, thank you for spending this time with me, and I'm sending you love always.